Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming, and nice to see you all. My name is Matt. I'm from JetBrains, and I'm going to talk today about JetBrains Rider and how you can use it for working with Godot. And going to talk about a couple of things, really. Nice and easy, bit of an introduction to JetBrains Rider if you haven't already seen it, how you get started working with Godot and Rider, how you can work with Rider in your game with C# and GDScript, and then how you can work with the engine and with GDExtensions as well. So we'll kind of dive into a lot of things there and kind of cover how you can get the most out of Rider with your game. If you're not already familiar with JetBrains and with what we do, we build IDEs, we build tooling for developers, we build a whole load of different IDEs. If you've got a language, we've probably got an IDE for it. So that can be things like IntelliJ IDEA for Java and Kotlin, WebStorm for web technologies, and ReSharper for working with C# in Visual Studio, for example, and of course we've got Rider, which is a .NET IDE for working with C#, but also working with game development and different game engines and other languages, including C++ and, of course, GDScript. One of the other things that we build is a product called TeamCity. This is a continuous integration system. It is for monitoring your source control. Whenever you check something in, we'll pull the source down, distribute it out to different build agents, and run through whatever build you have set up, whatever pipeline you want to build. And so you can build your game, you can package it up, you can run tests, you can do coverage, you can do whatever it is that you want to do with that there. And that's TeamCity. And the interesting thing about that is we've got a free tier. So if you have a small project, then and a small team, then you can just use it for free, which is very nice. You can just download it, install it, and have a go on it. If you'd like more information about that, we've got some people from the TeamCity team up in our booth upstairs, so feel free to come over and chat to us. The other thing is that we are, that's why I'm standing here, is we're a platinum sponsor of the Godot Foundation. We're a sponsor of the conference today as well, and this kind of goes some way to address some of the questions we've already had this week about what is our commitment to Godot. It's, are we going to be putting resources into it? Are we going to be supporting it, and so on and so forth? And the short answer is yes. This is proof that we are going to be providing support for Godot going forward. Okay, so what is JetBrains Rider? Quick show of hands. Anybody using Rider already? Oh, this is great. This is brilliant. If you feel like coming down and doing the talk, this is fine. So what Rider is a professional IDE for game development. It is a professional IDE. That's what we do. That's what we make, what we build. It gives you a whole load of tools for working with source code and also for working with your game. The key thing there is the sort of integration between the two. We want to help you be a bit more efficient with working with your games. As I say, it supports C#, GDScript, and C++. So you can work for the whole sort of breadth of features that Godot supports there. So it's interesting that with Godot having so much about it, it's not just one language that we have to support multiple languages. And so you can work with it for your game, for your engine itself, and also for GDExtensions. The other thing I want to point out as well is that it's free for non-commercial use. So if you're using it to learn for open source, which is kind of handy for the engine there, for hobbies, for content creation, and so on, then it's absolutely free to use. Okay, enough talk. Now, this is going to be tricky because I'm actually holding the microphone. Don't worry, I'll figure it out, it's fine. No, I want to suffer. This is good. Okay, so the thing I'm going to do first then is really kind of show you how to get started, how to use Rider from Godot. I'm going to start then with a C# application we've got here. This one's really quite straightforward to do, but the only problem is some of the information is a little bit hidden. We want to change the tooling for the editor for .NET, and to do that we have to enable advanced settings, and then we've got our .NET settings down here with the editor. And then very nice and easily, the engine has a drop-down for us. We can select Rider, and we're good to go. So once we got that in place, we can just double-click a file, and it will open up in Rider. It'll open up the solution for you, open up the project, and you're ready to go. Working with GDEscript's a little more tricky. So, of course, when you kind of double-click a GD file here, that'll open up in the inbuilt editor. And to make that work, you have to use a different method. You have to use the, text editor, the external tools here, and change all of this. Again, you need the advanced settings on. By default, you kind of just get one checkbox to use an external editor, but we don't know which one. What you need to do is enable the advanced settings. You have to find Rider, you have to put in the command line, and it's all a little bit tricky. So to make that a bit easier, we've added a new plugin, an add-on to make it work. So you can go to the asset library, search for Rider. Yeah, search for Rider. We've got the Rider integration tool here, and then this adds a new add-on, which will sort of make it a little bit easier then to configure everything. So we can install that into our project, and then you go to the project settings plugin, and you make sure that that's enabled. And once that's enabled there, we get a nice little checkbox up at the top here, a toggle there to say whether we want to use Rider or not. And that does all the work for us. So once we use Rider, we can then just double-click a GD file. And there we go. It'll open up in Rider. And again, Rider will open up the project and so on. This is really nice then. Wrong window, that one. It's really nice to have this toggle as well, because if you want to just make a quick change. Okay. I think that's because I haven't restarted after adding the... Yep, turn the toggle off. Yeah, that's better. So if you wanted to make a quick change inside the editor, in the game editor, then you can just turn the toggle off and use it directly there. Turn the toggle back on, and you should just be able to open the file. You should just be able to open the file in Rider as well. So once you've got the project actually open, then the Rider sort of magic kicks in. It starts indexing everything. That's what we do, is we index your audio files, we index all the C# files or the GDScript files. We also index your scene files too, so we can get some information out of that. And once we've got this information, then there's a lot we can do with it. And one of the kind of key things I do, and I sort of tell everybody this for every demo I do, is to use the shift search feature. So if you do shift, you can just start searching, and you can go off and find things. So if I wanted to find my action shortcut combo, I can just type ASC. Yeah, this is all big enough, that's fine. And I can very quickly navigate around. So shift, it can just go and find things. Option button, and I can then go and find anything that I want. What's that? On item selected. It's not just the file. I can go and find, where is it? On item selected. And so I can very quickly sort of navigate around my project. Obviously, this works inside the C# project as well. I can just start searching for, let's say, collision detector. And then I can see all the symbols that are there, or I can sort of hit tab and, am I typing this right? Oh, it's collector detector. I always get that one wrong. Collector detector is a symbol. It's over there. So you can tab between the different things. You can go and search for classes, you can search for files, you can search for symbols. The other really nice thing you can do is search for actions as well. So if you can't remember something, if you want to find like a refactoring, let's just select something that can be refactored. If I do that and do something like rename and select my actions, then I can see the actions that are available there as well. So if you can't remember the keyboard shortcut for something, then you can get it from the shift search dialog there as well. And we show you the keyboard shortcuts, so then you can very quickly get going and start to learn those keyboard shortcuts. So there's a bunch of really nice things you can do. We've got some lovely navigation. So if I go to something like iCoin collector, then I can see the type iCoin collector, and from here there's a nice keyboard shortcut which is going to show me the derived types. Because we're building this index, we understand what the code is doing, and we can understand then the class hierarchy of what's going on. And so I can use that then to sort of navigate to something like player, and I can see then that this implements my iCoin collector. If I want to go the other way and see what there is, there's another keyboard shortcut there to see all the base types. So again, see the class hierarchy and walk up and down it, and I can find in here somewhere it is going to be my iCoin collector and navigate back. So there's very quick and useful way of being able to, look at this. What a hero, this is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, that's brilliant. Now I'm just going to do it with one hand anyway now, just to be annoying. Right, where was I? Yeah, so I need to stand still. Okay, yeah, so I can just start typing things like player logic and navigate around and go and find everything. This is useful for when we've got a class here which is going to be used in multiple places. If it's a partial class, like in C# there, we can see all the different files that this belongs to, and we can navigate around that. We can also do things like control-click to see all those things here as well. And here's useful because it's a nice way of being able to see your generated files. So there's obviously a lot of generated files going on inside a C# application in Godot. And if you want to see what they're doing there, you can then very easily navigate to them. And also you can see here on the left-hand side in the Solution Explorer that we will make that available to you as well. So we can see here we've got all of our source generators and also the actual generated source. So you can browse that too and go and find those files and again, navigate to them, understand what's going on inside your project. Of course, there's lots of editing features as well. So if I go to my coin collector, is that one to go? Collector detector again. So, for example, here I could select this code, delete that, and obviously we've got all of the features that we want, but we've also got things like integration with source control. So you can see then what the changes are here, and we can then very easily roll those back or stage them if you want to, and so on. Integration with all the major source control vendors, such as Git and, of course, Perforce as well. So you should be covered for any source control integration that you're interested in. Other things we can do, though, is the other keyboard shortcut that's really useful. So Shift can help you sort of navigate around your code, but the other keyboard shortcut then is Alt-Enter. And this is the one which actually allows you to do things. So this gives you all the sort of context actions that are available for this bit of code here. And then when you get an inspection as well or a highlight, then we can give you quick fixes that are going to make that code better or improve things. So for example, here I can very quickly change this to a private method back into a public property, or I can do something like convert it to an auto property as well. So there's a lot of ways of being able to quickly rewrite your code. And we've got a lot of features like that across the sort of C# code base there. They can be generic to C# and give you sort of information about new features, which is always a useful one. So if a new language feature comes in, we can give you an inspection and a highlight to explain what the difference is, and a quick Alt-Enter will be able to rewrite that code and use the new feature. But the other useful thing about the Alt-Enter menu here is the items down at the bottom. We've got navigate to, refactoring, inspecting, and generating code as well. So if I just jump back to my iCoin collector, I showed you a couple of keyboard shortcuts there to jump up and down the class hierarchy. If you can't remember what that is, you can always go to the Alt-Enter menu, go to the navigate menu here, and then we can do things like derived symbols and go and find all of those symbols where they are there. Or I can use that then to do lots of different types of navigation. Other things that are available here, again, we index everything so we know where everything's being used. And so we can use find usages. And that can show us then across the code where your code is actually being used. So we can see that these items are being used by as base types here, and we can very sort of quickly navigate around and see how they're being used. And we also group that information too. So if I go here, we can see that we've got base type, we've got parameter declarations, type arguments, and type checking. So again, we get to see not just where it's being used, but how it's being used. And so we can use that to understand our code base a lot better. The other useful entry point, if I go back to here, the other useful entry point with Alt-Enter is our refactor menu here. And refactoring is really powerful. It allows us to change our code and do it in a much more structured manner than we would do with, say, something like find and replace. But one of the useful ones we can do is rename. And so I can then rename this particular property, and it will update all the usages wherever it is. We've got a number of different suggestions here, so let's just call that coin feature. Select that, and that updates it everywhere. And if I did my find usages again, it'll show me where it's being used, just the one, so it's jumped straight there. And again, if I wanted to roll that back, I can easily roll it back with source control, or I can just undo it completely, and we've got the name back to what it is. We can also do some things. If I go to, was it on collector detector body entered? This is really nice where you can just put the initial letters of something when you want to go and find something. So you don't have to type the whole thing. You can just use the initial letters, and you can very quickly get to wherever you want to be in the code. It's surprising how unique those letters can be, and you can get to somewhere very, very quickly with that. But that isn't the one I wanted. I wanted that. That wasn't the one I wanted. There we go. That was what I wanted. One of the things we can do with refactorings here as well, if I select that refactoring, is to be able to do something like introduce a variable. So we can select whether it's going to be the whole expression or just this new expression, and then we can very quickly introduce variables. So there's a number of really good refactorings there to help you rewrite your code, restructure your code, understand what's going on, fix up the name if it's incorrect, or actually if we wanted to, we could just inline this back again and have it as a slightly more terse code and shorter code, which is useful. Now, we've got a number of sort of C# specific features there, but we've also got a number of Godot features, which are specific to a project running Godot. And we've got a connection to the editor itself. So we can see up here, we've got a little Godot icon. Yep, nice Godot icon there, which is showing that we're connected to the editor. And given that connection, then we can get some information, pull it from the editor, and use it to give you information inside the code editor. So if I go to, where are we? Get on player physics. Wrong one again. Keep on jumping to the player. Yep, so one of the things we can do here, which is rather nice, is provide code completion then for some of the methods, the input methods there. So we can pull these magic strings which are defined inside the game editor and show them actually inside the code editor again. So you can select those. You can also use the generated code that we've got here. So we've obviously got the game inputs.jump, and that's fine. But we can also provide code completion then for the magic strings. We've also got the same for resource paths. So if I jump over to coin, and again in collector detector, and if I clear that, then we can very quickly sort of start typing and to be able to find and generate our resources as well. So again, giving you some help with those magic strings. Now, switching over to GDExcript, there's a lot of similar functionality going on there as well. So again, we can navigate around, so we can very quickly go and find, say, end screen and jump to there. Once you're in a file, then you can also see what's available to go and find the methods and find those very quickly. And again, we can do things like find usages to see where it's being used, and it will list those again. So we've got a lot of indexed information there, a lot of idea of how things are being used, and can help you navigate and jump around your code. So again, I can go to action shortcut combo and do find usages, say, of print debug. And again, we get to see in several different files where it's being used and how it's being used. We've also got some, obviously, nice features like, let's just replace that with, oh, no. I've typed that completely wrong. We can give you warnings here, for example, if I've got spaces instead of tabs. And we can say that actually we don't want to have spaces there, but we want the other way around, we can quickly fix that with a Alt-Enter again. So we've got some useful inspections for keeping your white space significant and making sure that your code is correct. We can also do things like completing, where are we, per scene? I want to be main. Per scene. So again, we can do completion of items here. So I can do type my pair and add my resources information there to help with the magic strings again and your paths and your locations. We've got some more inspections going on here to, oh, it doesn't like that item there, to suggest that we can actually specify the return type of a node. So I can very quickly do Alt-Enter here, and given my pair scene, I can actually make that into a packed scene. And you can start to make your code a little more strongly typed. And the more strongly typed it is, the more help we can give. Because then when we're doing a rename, we know that this particular node type is being used in the right places and can rename the properties and methods a little more successfully. So if I just go to pair scene, yeah, so I'm speaking of rename, we do have the ability to rename in GDEscript as well. So let's just call that one new scene, and that will then update wherever that's being used. And again, I can do find usages, and we can see that it has been updated here as well. So I can do my control-click navigation to find where it's used and jump back. I can rename it back to here to return that back to pair scene. And it'll just update everything for you. So these renames are very powerful and a whole lot better than just doing a simple sort of textual find and replace. The other thing that's useful to point out as well, when we've got the files listed on the left-hand side, is we've got all of your UID files there too, and we will keep a track of those. So if I rename main itself, just call that main 22, it'll check with source control to rename it. But it hasn't just updated the GDScript file, it's also updated your UID file. So if you do any kind of refactorings there, we'll keep those UID files up to date so that you don't need to worry about them. They're not going to get orphaned, you're not going to lose them, you're not going to have missed references anywhere, which is very useful. Other features which are nice is if I go to my randomized shortcuts, we've got a couple of other refactorings. So again, for GDScript, we can do things like introducing a variable. So if I've got my tree here, I can just change that to be, I don't know, let's call it new tree. I'll fix that input. And we can also do the opposite as well. And I can do something like inline the variable too. It shows me a bit of a preview down the bottom here of what it's going to affect. I can click refactor. And while it put my indents wrong, it's now put it back to being get tree. So we've again got some nice refactorings here for GDScript. Obviously, we don't have as many features inside GDScript as we do for C#. We've been working on C# for a lot longer, but we're constantly trying to improve what we've got for GDScript, and we'll be looking at doing more things as time goes on. Other things that are useful is that we have a scene preview tool window. If I go, let's just actually rename this back to main. Given my main file here, we also kind of give you a preview of the main scene here too, so you get to see what the hierarchy is. So you don't have to keep on bouncing between the editor, the Godot editor, and the code editor to understand what your hierarchy is like there. You can see it sort of directly here. And when we've got scripts, we should be able to click on the script icon there to be able to navigate to where these kinds of things are registered. Okay. Right, so there's a whole bunch of good things there for working with your code, understanding your code, navigating, refactoring, and so on. We also want to be able to debug things, and we kind of help with that as well. We kind of automatically set up a bunch of things to help it, make it easier for you to debug your games. So if I switch over to my C# game demo, if we have a look at our run configurations in the top right, then we get to see all the different things that we've sort of automatically created. This project had some launch settings already set. We've got those selected there. We can use that. But we also create the editor and player configurations here too. So I can very quickly start a player with a single click, and it'll start running, and we can test the game very nicely and interactively. If we can kill it, there it is. Or I can just hit the debug button there as well, and we will launch the game, but also debug it too. And we should have a breakpoint set up. We should hit that, hopefully. There we go. We've hit an exception somewhere I wasn't expecting to. Okay. Well, anyway, see, we do breakpoints, and we do we capture exceptions, and we can walk the core stack there to sort of see what's going on. I bet that's when I renamed something. But we can show you all the sort of variables that are available there. We can show you what the current exception is. So it's handy that I demoed that bit. We can see the current exception, but we also do some other useful things there. So we actually pull the current scene into the debugger there as well. So we also provide you with a little bit of extra information. And again, we can then see the current nodes that are available on the scene, and you can sort of walk down that, and you get to see again a bit of a hierarchy of what's going on inside the scene while you're in the debugger, which is a bit of useful context for you while you're working with your code. And once you are debugging, we should be able to just sort of hover over everything and see the information. If we want in a exception, so again you can sort of see the information. We've got the child nodes that are available there, and its information. And you can also look at the raw view there as well if you want to look at that to sort of see the more information and more details of what's going on. We can step over code, we can step in, we can step out. We can get caught in lots of exceptions. Let's just mute that exception. And that was the breakpoint that I was intending to hit. You can then, as I say, we've still got the current scene there, but we can just sort of hit the items there to sort of a single step over everything. We could step into an item and get more information, step out of it, and so on. Now, this one is obviously we're in sort of the physics process. It's going to get called all the time, and that might not be what we wanted it to do. So there's a bunch of useful things we can do with our breakpoints then to sort of help work with that. So I can right-click on this here, and I can do something like suspend execution and then just evaluate some information. So if I wanted to find out what's going on with my code, quite often you can add in like a print statement. So it'll print something out to the console, and you can find out some more information about your code. But that means having to edit your code, restart the game, and so on. You can actually just do it through a breakpoint too. So if I just click that and do run, it's obviously running every frame, so that kind of has a bit of an impact, but it'll output that information for me then in the output window. That is now perhaps a little too much information, so what I could do is add in a condition. So if I'm looking for something, say, where the delta has been too long, then I can add that there. And I think there's a question going on. To print to a file, typically, just in case everybody heard that, can we also write this to a file? The way this works now is we evaluate something when the breakpoint is hit and log it to the output. We don't write it to a file, but you could call anything here. So we're evaluating a string here. We're concatenating two strings there, but you can call a method. So you could actually call a method there, and that method could write something to a file if you wanted it to. Obviously, that's going to be some code that's going to be running sort of every time the breakpoint is hit. So there might, I'm doing it in every frame here, so that would probably be disastrous for performance, but you're debugging, so it is kind of okay. The kind of useful things here, though, are the suspend execution item there, which means the breakpoint is hit, but we don't stop. The breakpoint, the code keeps on going. We do something, we evaluate something, and we carry on. We can have this condition item here as well then to sort of say, we'll only break when the delta is over 0.2, or when my health gets below 10, or when my enemy count gets over 33, whatever. We can do those kinds of things. And there's a few more interesting things we can do there as well. We could log the stack trace, breakpoints, log a simple breakpoint hit message, or we can do more useful things there, kind of remove once hit. So that's quite useful for more advanced sort of scenarios where you kind of want to hit it once and then carry on. So it's only this one-time condition, and you can sort of remove it. And then things get really interesting. Oh, it's already removed it. Is if you have, say, 2 breakpoints, I can actually pull up the main thing there, and I've got this option here, disable until hitting the following breakpoints. So we can have conditional breakpoints. So you could have a breakpoint which is, say, I don't know, when a particular menu has been selected, and then the next time have it when you're inside a loop there. You only don't want the loop to be happening every single time, but only once a particular condition has happened. And so you can link breakpoints like that. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do there. Again, it's sort of single click to start debugging, to stop debugging, to wire everything up. Where are we with time? Okay. GDScript has also got debugging built in. We talk to the Godot editor. The Godot editor does the debugging for us. Again, we've kind of realized that you're working with a GDScript file, and so we create these items down here to create a player GDScript debugger or to debug the current running instance of the editor. So if I select this one and hit debug, we're going to connect to the editor, which is not this one, but this one. And if I just start playing here, we should hit a breakpoint. No, we don't even hit an exception this time. Right, well, that's even the wrong part of that. Am I in the wrong scene now? That one. 1 second, sorry. Have I got... So another tip is if in the bookmarks window here, you get to see what current breakpoints you've got. But I'm also not sure why that one hasn't been hit and why I'm going to the wrong location. Well, let's try debugging just the... These are just these errors are just a warning that I can create a return type. But let's just try doing the player. I think this would be better. It should work. Maybe something needs to open. I might have to admit defeat. I think I've probably broken the project somehow. Where am I looking? That main scene's correct there. One last try. No. Okay. I've broken the demo. Apologies. But with the debugging for GDScript, again, it's a slightly different implementation to what we've just shown you with some of the C# features, but you've kind of got some similarities there as well. We can still do the conditional breakpoints. We can do suspend execution and have log points, so I can evaluate something and log it there again. And we can just sort of do a lot of the interesting things that we do with the advanced breakpoints there in GDScript, as well as doing it in C#. Some of the information that we get from the Godot editor is a little different to what I've got in C#, so it looks a little different there, but on the whole, it's a very similar sort of functionality. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Right. Last thing then, before we kind of move away from the looking at games, is, of course, can't go too long these days without talking about AI. Has anyone heard of it? Okay, it's quite nifty. If you want to use it, we have it available to you. If you don't, it can be easily disabled. We have a whole bunch of functionality in here. This is where I'm missing most of my functionality. Okay, so yeah, so we've got a standard chat window here. We have our own sort of AI subscription, and with that, we've got a chat window, and we give you access to a whole bunch of new models. And so we can bring those on without you having to do anything. So we've kind of just had OpenAI release GPT 5.5 last night. We'll have that in that drop-down list very shortly. We've also got then the ability to have agents as well, and so we can support. Oh no, I've skipped something there. The other kind of important thing then is we've also got a third-party providers as well, so you can bring your own key. And so you can have your own set of providers. If you want to run something locally, if you want to use Ollama, for example, you can have that and run it locally and configure how you want to do that. If you've already got a subscription with somebody else, you know, whether it's Gemini or Anthropic, you can provide those API keys and you can use that. We also have the ability to use agents. Where is it? And we've got this agent client protocol. So this is a standard that we've been working on with various others in the industry to allow you to bring agents into the UI then. So we provide our own agents, which is Junie, and access to Claude and Codex by default. That's kind of bundled as part of our subscription. But you can also bring in your own there. So if you want to use any of these other ones, whether it's something like Copilot or Cursor or OpenCode and everything, you can add those and bring those in to the editor as well. Other features, things like next edit suggestions, so you can kind of get the tab experience as well. And of course, the agents and the models get access to some of the tooling that we've got. So we build a lot of indexes, and that information is available to the LLMs so that they can very easily use some of our functionality there as part of the AI. Okay, so moving on a bit then, if you're working with the engine, then Rider can help with this as well. So getting up and running is fairly straightforward. Obviously, just follow what the docs you've got there, install the prerequisites, but then you just need to clone the engine and then open it up in Rider, and we'll kind of do the rest for you. So if you open it up as a folder, Rider kind of recognizes that it's the engine, and it'll run scons for you. So if I go to, nope, wrong one. If I go to Rider there, and if I go to my Rider projects folder and Godot, this would be, you know, effectively cloned and clean, and it'll sort of open it up as a folder. We get this information down the bottom here. Let's just zoom in on that. There. We recognize that we've kind of opened it up as a folder, and we need a solution file. You know, there's no solution file as part of the repro, but we can do that for you. You can click the generate solution file, and we'll then run scons for you down here. That'll generate the project file for you, give you all that information, and you'll be ready to go in a second. And it just takes a second to run. And then I can click the open solution, and Rider will restart then, and I've got my file open, my project open here as well. It'll just quickly load those projects. It'll run through, it'll index them, just like we did with the sort of C# files and the Godot GDScript files. And then I've got all the same sort of navigation features that I had there before as well. So let's just let that finish the initial file processing. We are done. Yeah. And now I can just sort of start typing and go and find items there. So I can go and navigate around, go and find my signal, for example. I can do find usages here, and it'll show me where all that's being used inside the C++ files and everything. So it's the same sort of functionality that you've got from C# and GDScript, but just working with C++. It's also quite nice here. So I've got my sort of declaration of my items here. I can do Alt-Enter and then navigate to the definition, and it'll actually then take me to where it is that I need to be. And again, we've got sort of control-click navigation here. I can navigate to my actual macros as well. I can do, in fact, if we go up to the top, we've got the include block here. We can also sort of very quickly sort of control-click and navigate around and have a look into the header files as well. And so you can very quickly sort of navigate around your code and the engine and see where things are being used and how to use them. So if I go back to let's go here. If I go to the definition of this item here, again, we've got sort of inspections going on here. This one here is that we can make the function const. And so again, I can do my alt-enter. I've got my quick fixes here, so to quickly make that into a const variable, a const function and update it. That will do it once there, but if we can see that we've actually got a few instances of that happening, I can do it in this particular file, in the folder for the whole project and so on. And you can see it's kind of updated this method as well as this one here. Lots of other nice features for completion. And also the little feature that I really like is that I'm not terribly used to writing C++ anymore, and so I always tend to forget when something's a reference or a pointer, and I forget then which way to actually, whether it's a dot or an arrow, and Rider will fix that up for me. And so if I use the arrow there, it'll actually put a dot there for me. So it kind of helps me with these little quality of life features then to sort of remember how to do C++. Okay. What else do I want to show you? Oh yeah, running and debugging, that was what I wanted to show you. Yeah, because we've obviously loaded the project there, we understand what's going on. We can select the different configurations that we want to. We can just kind of click build to actually build it there. We can also then just run and debug this. And again, it's the same sort of idea. We can just do a single click to start debugging. That's going to quickly build everything, which now I've changed something is obviously going to take longer than I intended. Let's just give that a sec. And again, then we've got the same sort of debugging experience. Once that happens, we'll click to add a breakpoint, and we can do the same thing. We've got conditional breakpoints, we've got dependent breakpoints, we can do logging, we can do all of those kinds of things. And I knew I shouldn't have edited anything. Okay, let's skip that. Okay, so the other thing that we can do here, once we're actually working with the run configuration, then is obviously you can it'll start up an open editor, or if you can point it to your game as well. So obviously you can debug your game as well as the editor itself. We do support mixed mode debugging, so you can step between C# and C++. This is only for Windows, though, apparently, due to restrictions in the platform. But it can be very useful then to be able to sort of step inside a C# part of your game, as well as actually the C++ side of things with your GDX, well, with the engine. GDExtensions, we've got a very sort of similar features with this. Rider now supports CMake, so as of 2026.1, which is the current release, we support CMake. We can just open up a CMake project and work with your instances of your GDExtensions. My laptop sounds like it's about to take off. Let me just cancel this build. That one. Yeah, okay. So let's have a quick look at a GDExtension. Again, this is all very straightforward. You can use the Godot CPP template. You can just kind of clone that. We'll just load it as a standard CMake project. We'll discover the targets that are available in there and again set those up. That's just loading things there. We've kind of get the configurations here. So I've called this one my Godot extension. And so that's the name of that target that I get here. I can just kind of click play or debug to again play and debug those items there. You can see we've got the files listed on the left here. It looks quite complex with a lot of items there because we kind of show all files by default. You can clean that up a little bit by kind of hiding everything. So it only shows the files that are included as part of the CMake project. And so I can then see my actual files, like, again, where I registered the types. And again, I can control click and navigate around for that and see everything that's going on. And then the actual functionality that I've got. Breakpoint in here, again, nice and easy to work with debugging. And for this one, all I need to do is point the executable at an executable for the engine, and then you can start debugging. And so again, if I hit the debug button there, it'll start up. Let's pull that back in there. It'll start up an instance of the editor, hopefully. This was the editor which I was supposed to have just built, so this might not work either. Oh, that was good. This is obviously going to instantiate my GD extension, and we can see the value that's here. And again, we've got our call stack that we can use for debugging. We can sort of navigate around and see what's going on. And this is looking at the engine which I built earlier, fortunately. And again, we can have a look at the variables and the items that are in there and look at the information. Single step, do all the same sort of thing with breakpoints there. So again, I can use logging and so on. So that's the one I want, evaluate and log for information. And of course, then one thing which is really nice is to be able to have both your game and the GD extension in the same project. And one thing we're going to do as part of the next release is automatically recognize this kind of scenario and create not just a run configuration for the C++ side of things, but also for the game as well. So this is the source that we've got for that editor add-on, which I showed you earlier. And we've kind of got a project.godot file here and a scene there, so I can easily test this. I can easily set that up and running. And we create a run configuration then for those kinds of things. Nope, I've actually lost my run configurations. Yeah, so we can select the game, there it is. And we can run that, and we can actually open the project and debug both the GDScript and the GD extension from the same instance of Rider, so that we can then make it easier, so you don't have to bounce around and work in different instances. So the next version of Rider will be able to sort of automatically recognize that and automatically create those run configurations for us. Okay, so the last couple of things then to round up. We recognize that Godot is open source, and we think that's a fantastic part of it. It's very nice to be able to sort of contribute back to that. So we've already sort of contributed a few things to the engine to try and help make some of the workflows a little easier for developers. And we'll be looking to sort of continue doing that and hopefully work with the community to be able to do so. So that's quite an exciting way of working and working. I'm just going to say working a lot, things there. So one example of that is when we've done some stuff with improving the generation of the solution files and project files for working better with Rider compatibility, and also then with the debugger adapter protocol, so that we can show the information inside the debugger a bit better. The Godot support itself is open source, so the support we've got inside Rider is open source, and we're happy to accept contributions. If you'd like to join in, you can go to our org on GitHub, start a conversation, create an issue, that kind of thing, and we can work with that. We have essentially two plugins, one of which is Godot.net, which is support for C# side of things, and it provides all the sort of run configurations for working with C# inside Rider. It'll automatically create that, talk to the Godot editor to give us the magic string completion, and so on. And the other plug then is just called Godot. This is how we work with GDScript, and this is we parse the GDScript files. We also talk to the editor to get information there, and this gives us all of our completion and find usages inside GDScript files. This one is not actually Rider specific, so you can install this in any other JetBrains IDE should you wish to do so, although Rider is usually the best experience there because that's where we're targeting for working with game development. And then, as I showed you, we've got this editor add-on, which is designed to make it a little bit easier to integrate Rider with Godot itself. And we're looking to sort of improve on that as time goes on, maybe make use of that. Now we've got something running inside the editor instance, we can actually make a communication between Rider and the Godot editor to provide other functionality that we've got going on there. So that's a bit of a tour of Rider for Godot. As I say, it's a professional IDE for game development, supporting C#, GDScript, and C++. C++ both as the engine and as the GD extensions as well. Lots of great refactorings there to help you write better code, debug your code, test your code, integrate with version control. There's other useful things I didn't show you. We've got like integration with databases, so if you need to talk to any other kind of database, we can integrate with that and show you information and so on. And again, just a reminder that it is free for non-commercial use. So if you're learning, doing things as a hobby, working for open source, content creation, and so on, then you can use it for free. And that just leaves me to say thank you very much for coming. If you have any questions, I don't know whether we've got time. I think we've got 1 minute for questions. If you have any questions, feel free to shout out. We're upstairs as well. The whole team's there, so we can answer anything you've got. But thank you for coming.
Hi, thank you so much for the talk. The debugging is really cool that you can just, print something, make it conditional. I was wondering about if you integrate Copilot.
Yes.
You know, Copilot has cool things. You can use it as an agent to write code for you or to plan features and probably 20 other million things that I don't use. But if you turn it on here, can it also do all that?
Yes, absolutely. So Copilot is not something that we provide. This one is provided by GitHub. This is using
perfect.
the ACP registry there. But yes, you can. You can just ask it to do things. I don't know, add a new character. And it will talk to Copilot and get it to provide things and work with that. Actually, I'm not sure if I have any authorization with this one. Yeah, I'm not authorized.
But it will
yes, basically
write the script for you and everything.
Yes, it can. It can generate code. It can do all the kinds of things that agents and Copilot can do, which would be creating a script, finding errors, suggesting fixes, making those fixes as well, and it can do a whole load of things. We also provide access to. So one of the things we got then is, I won't go into that right now, is provide access to the tooling inside the IDE as well. So we have a number of tools which the agents can call and can use to provide to get information from the project, from the indexes, and also make those changes.
All right, sweet, thanks.